So we're here at the Climate Launchpad 2017 in Cyprus, and I'm sitting here with two awesome entrepreneurs, and you guys have a great product. So maybe you could tell us your names and a little bit about your product.
So my name is Lamson.
And I'm Cheryl. I'm the wife of inventor of Sunmill.
And our product is Sunmill.
That's exciting. So what does Sunmill do?
So Sunmill is a solar concentrator for high-rise buildings.
Excellent, excellent. And where'd you come up with the name for that?
Okay, I'm actually the one who gave Sunmill the name. So because first of all, this is a solar concentrator. It's all about the sun, and we find that for all the natural resources that we have, wind and also the sun is kind of unlimited, which is also the name of our company. And we have windmill that is very common globally, and now we have my husband's invention that is about a solar concentrator, and then this is called Sunmill. It's because it is on the side of the wall of a building, but it's not on the top. So it's like a field full of all the collectors. So that's why it calls Sunmill.
Like the windmill, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very exciting. So I thought what I liked about the product is that it's so innovative. I mean, we're used to seeing solar panels on the roofs of buildings. We're used to seeing solar panels out in fields, but in cities, I mean, that really doesn't scale well. You've got a very limited surface area on top of the roof, but you have almost unlimited vertical surface area. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about how the product makes the most of that and how it works.
Okay, so basically we have a limited number of vertical spaces as well. It's not unlimited because if you look at the vertical spaces around us, there's actually the glazing area. So there's a limited number of space that we can put PV panels.
Yeah.
And that number of limited space is not sufficient to provide for all the energy that a household requires. And therefore we need something with a higher energy efficiency, and that's Sunmill. With Sunmill we generate both electricity and domestic hot water, heat. So with that we were able to scale up the energy efficiency to over 70%.
Yeah, that's really exciting.
And because both of us is coming from Singapore, and as you all may know that in Asia there are a lot of high-rise building, and it comes to our concern that we can actually much more well utilize the building surface to provide and to supply energy for every household. It is not very common in European country because it's usually maximum 4-story height, but in Asia country it's more than 20, that is the minimum. So I mean with Sunmill is greatly well utilize the natural resources that is from the sun.
Right.
Yes.
And also with Sunmill, it also serves as an active sunshade. So like the weather in Cyprus is very hot,
right?
Because it serves as an active sunshade that traps the sun and shade the buildings. It will create a more comfortable indoor space. Right. And then that's adaptable to climate change, because with climate change, the environment is going to be hotter if it's going to be hotter.
Right.
Yeah, so and that's the additional benefits of Sunmill.
Yeah. So in terms of the size of the product, can you give us an idea of what the size is of the Sunmill and kind of how it works?
Yes, so we are the first in the industry to invent a solar concentrator that is scalable and that's integratable to the building. So when I say scalable, that means it can be small, like my prototype, which is not around, but this small, or it can be as big as 9 meters long. Yeah, so it's scalable. It's a scalable product. So if you have a smaller apartment, maybe you would need just a small Sunmill. But if you have a big apartment, maybe for 8 people in there, yeah, then you might need a bigger Sunmill.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really exciting. So in terms of a high-rise, you would install them vertically along the floors, right? So you'd have multiple Sunmills along the side of the building, and you could just stack them and scale them as your need increases or as you have space for.
Yes. So the idea is to have is that each apartment will eventually have their own Sunmill.
Okay.
Yeah. So
each unit could select to install it or choose to install it by themselves.
Yes.
That's very neat.
No, it's from the point from the time of construction that Sunmill is already equipped to the building.
Okay.
It's an eco-friendly building.
Sure.
That's why Sunmill have to be equipped alongside with the buildings.
Sure.
Well, construction.
Yeah.
Yes.
New
And also, we think that it looks better to have a uniform
right,
building.
not just like spotty different installations
so I
on
think
each
it's good
building.
to do it at the early stage during the construction. If it's in the retrofit stage, then we get the consent of everyone and then install the sunwheel.
Yeah,
Rather
all
than
at
just-
once. So the building owner.
Yeah, and maybe you can tell everyone that how the energy collected will be used for.
Okay, so the
Yeah.
energy that's collected for 40% of it is going to be converted to electricity.
Yep.
And another 40% of it is going to be converted to heat, which is domestic hot water. Yeah.
And the remaining.
And the remaining is dissipated as waste heat.
Okay.
Yeah. But actually, with what we didn't talk about is that sunmill actually is a rectangular box, and actually all the waste heat is trapped within this rectangular box. Yeah. So the second stage is that we will think about how we can utilize this waste heat.
Yeah.
And the possibility is that we can reuse this waste heat to create passive heating or cooling of the building, and this will further improve the indoor thermal comfort.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is not mentioned to you earlier.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's exciting.
Yeah.
One other thing that we talked yesterday about the sun mill is that it tracks the sun, so it's got little motors in it that actually moves the unit to optimize the amount of heat you're generating and electricity you're generating. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about the motors, how they work, what the range is on the motors, and
Okay.
how that works.
Okay, so with our current prototype, the motors is a step motor. So for each step, it moves at 1 degree angle. But for our design, we have a tolerance angle of plus minus 3 degrees Celsius, 3 degrees.
Right.
So it doesn't need to move all the time, because we also realize that if you need to move it all the time, you end up with a very a lot of energy consumption for the motors.
Right.
So we think that we should just do it. We should have an allowance, tolerance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that we're not just thinking of just maximizing the energy output, but not thinking about the energy that is required to run it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. It seems like there'd be a really healthy balance there somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
That's
so
exciting.
The two motors is basically, there is one that allow the rectangular sunmill to rotate horizontally,
Yeah.
and on the two ends of the solar concentrator, actually there is another motor that allowed the sunmill to turn to tilt up and down.
Okay, so it's multi-axis tracking.
Yes. So when you actually install it on the wall, so it will turn like 360 degrees.
Sure.
And while it turns 360 degrees, itself will also tilt left or right while it's turning.
Right.
So, I mean, this design is basically just to maximize the absorption of the sunlight
Right.
from from the sunrise to sunset, basically just to well utilize
And
it.
through all the seasons as well.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, as long as there is sunlight, you don't like equip it like in the North Pole or the South Pole, so half year round.
Right.
There will be no sunlight, that will be useless.
Well,
Yeah.
it's less useful, but I mean, they're even using them in Germany and farther north. So, I mean, yeah, there's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
So does the tracking, does it use sensors or is that programmed in? So based on the latitude and longitude, you would know.
So currently with our design, we are using sensors.
Sure.
But I think another possibility is programming. Yeah. So because the weather is kind of like, the solar angles is kind of predictable.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, the other possibility is to program it.
Yeah. Exciting. So in terms of developing the product, what's the next milestone for you guys? You're developing a proof of concept or a prototype? Like where are you at in the stage of business development?
Yeah. So we already have the proof of concept prototype. And the next stage is that we wish to do an operational prototype.
Yeah.
So, and we don't just want to make an operational prototype in the field for testing. That would be very boring. We want to do something that is more exciting and that will give publicity to this idea.
Sure.
So what we hope to is that we will raise 100,000 pounds euros.
Yeah.
And then we can develop a sunmill pavilion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yes, by 2018.
Yes.
Yeah, this is his idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
Awesome.
course. And I mean, because we are applying for the, we have already applied for the patent, and it's waiting for the certificate to come out.
Yep.
And ultimately, we would like to bring Sunmill into the market in China and the market in India and also Africa. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting with the developing countries, the construction. I mean, I think you mentioned in your presentation just how much construction is happening in China.
Yes.
It's like 60% of
50%.
50%
Yes.
of the total world construction.
Yes.
Is that next year, or what's the time frame on that?
So that will be over the next decade.
Okay.
So over the next decade, 50% of the world construction will be focused in China.
Yeah, that's
So,
exciting.
and there's so much being built, and I think now is the time for Sunmill to enter to that market.
And Nigeria is also another very new market that we would like to further develop the Sunmill there.
Right.
Yeah.
One
So-
step at a time, right?
Yes.
So, in Nigeria, there'll be 400 millions of urban migrators in the next 20, 30 years. So that is another huge market.
Yeah.
Nigeria, India, and China. Yeah.
That's really exciting. Such a fantastic product.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you look out at the next year or two, what are you excited about? I mean, obviously the product and moving into prototype. Is there something exciting that you've got out there that you're really shooting for?
So at the moment, I think we're really hoping that we, with the funds that we're going to secure, maybe later on,
Sure.
we really hope that we can build the pavilions. I think that is very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we are not just building the prototype to test it, but with the pavilion is also going to be like for food and F&B businesses.
Yeah.
That can be utilize those energy that we harvest. So the energy that is being harvested by the pavilions, the Sunmill pavilion, it will go to the food and F&B business
Yeah.
for them to run their business, and it will also be an autonomous pavilion. Yeah.
Yes.
That's very exciting. That's very exciting. Thanks for taking the time to talk, and best of luck moving forward.
Right. Thank you.
And remember to visit our website www.unlimited.com, and we will update the development of Sunmill. So remember Sunmill.
Sunmill.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Thank you guys.